This is Simon Volta with V Technologies. I'm the Director of Sales. I'm joined here today with Moses Webb, who's our Sales Executive for Macola. Today, we're going to take you through the StarShip with Macola integration, kind of highlight some of the key differences that ShipGear versus StarShip offers, and really show you a unique feature of StarShip and the ability to integrate with our e-commerce platforms. And today we'll highlight Shopify. So we'll take you through a quick order and demonstration of how do we pull in an order in through Macola and how do we update both sources utilizing Macola and Shopify. So before I turn it over to Moses, there's a couple housekeeping tips I like to review. If you do have any questions, we will kind of keep this in mute-only mode throughout the presentation, but there is a little box by your name. If you want to raise your hand and type in a question, we will be able to address those questions at the end. We'll have more than enough time at the end to address all questions. So again, without further ado, I will turn it now over to Moses, and he'll take us through the presentation. Moses?
Alrighty, thank you, Simon, so much, and greetings and good afternoon to all. Simon mentioned today I have a brief PowerPoint here that's going to cover the StarShip highlights and also give a comparison to our other shipping solution, ShipGear. And also, I'm going to jump straight into the demo, which is going to be a small parcel order with Shopify as the e-commerce extensions as well. And as Simon mentioned, after I will conclude and open the floor to any questions that we may have. All right, so without further ado, V Technologies. So we've been specializing in integrated shipping solutions since 1989. So we've been around for about 28 years. We're located here in Connecticut, so all our sales, supports, development is done in-house. We've been working with Macola for about 20 plus years now, since the mid-1990s. And currently today, we have well over 10,000 customers using our software. So also down below, you'll see the FedEx and the UPS logos there. And so V Technologies, we are a strategic UPS ready provider and gold FedEx certified solution. So UPS and FedEx both have subsidy amount programs in which can be used towards the purchase of a solution like StarShip. So if that's something you're interested in, please touch base with your representative for those specific carriers and inquire more about the programs and the information. All right, so let's discuss the differences between ShipGear and StarShip. So basically, in a nutshell, StarShip is a multi-carrier, multi-mode single application. So in other words, StarShip will be able to process your small parcel, your LTL, your international, and even EDI orders all inside of one portal. So this differs from ShipGear, which only utilizes the individual carriers interface, which would be UPS WorldShip or FedEx Ship Manager. StarShip has the ability for line item integration. And so with that line item integration, StarShip will be able to rate shop with over 25 different carriers that we support. We can print out your international documentations, your BOL documents, and also some much needed information for your EDI solution as well, again, if you have EDI orders. Another key difference between StarShip and ShipGear is the ability to batch process with StarShip and even merge related orders as well, which is not achievable with ShipGear. And if you notice in the last bullet underneath the StarShip column there is our e-commerce extension. So StarShip has the ability to integrate directly with e-commerce platforms such as Shopify, WooCommerce, Amazon, and eBay, in which I'll show you in the demo today. So along with the direct integration with the platforms, you can also utilize the e-commerce platforms as an extension to StarShip with Macola. And again, I'll show you that example today in the demo. All right, so what are some of the big reasons to switching over to StarShip if you're a current ShipGear user? So first and foremost, you'll be transitioning over to a more robust ERP integration. So ShipGear is our entry-level middleware application, while StarShip, on the other hand, will allow you, again, the ability to access over 25 different LTL carriers and options and integrations. And as I mentioned earlier, StarShip again has the ability to do the line item integration, which will support and streamline your international, your freight, and also if you're doing hazmat shipping as well. If you're currently processing EDI orders, or if you're interested in EDI, or if you have, say, a WMS system, StarShip is the software that will provide you with the automated, integrated, and process solution there to satisfy those needs. And so, along with the Starship solution itself, you will be able to take advantage and enhance your brand with our two additional features. One being e-notify, and the other is dashboard. And again, I'll cover that briefly after the demo today as well. And so, if you have multiple locations, Starship would be the best solution for you. We can centralize deployment for support for RDP and Citrix. And to the last bullet point there, you will receive the post office module out of the box with Starship, and this will grant you access to our discounted USPS rates. So this is a great transition over to this slide here. So you will see here an example of the additional surcharges that were tacked on by UPS when they increased their rates in 2018. So if you're using UPS today, you have seen some serious increases in fees and serial charges, which are sometimes hidden as well. Whereas on the other hand, with USPS, it helps you manage your total shipping costs, as you see here briefly in this table. So here you can take advantage of no residential delivery fees, or address validation or correction fees, and even dimension ratings for zones 1 through 4 with the USPS. So here we see a real example in how Pitney Bowes and the USPS can help save you money. So the scenario up top is you just sold a teddy bear in your online store and you need to ship it from New York to California. So the details of the teddy bear in the package, it weighs 20 ounces, which can be rounded up to 2 pounds. And the box and the packaging will be 12 by 10 by 6. And so to the star, you'll see UPS and FedEx rate assume about 25% discount on base rates. So I then took their published rate and applied 25% discount. Now, some may have a greater discount, others may not. And that's how I came up with the base charge fee, which is down in the table below. And then for FedEx and UPS, when you add on the fuel charges and the residential surcharge for home delivery, you can see how you can be saving in terms of going with the post office here. And also to add, if you are shipping from New York to California, you're generally looking at a possibly 4 to 5 days for ground service with private carrier, whereas the post office, on the other hand, would be roughly about 2 to 3 days with the priority service. So keep that in mind as well. And so again, the post office is a great tool to use, and you can possibly be saving money and taking advantage of it. And it comes with the StarShip license. So if you have any additional questions, or if you're looking for more information regarding the post office, feel free to reach out to myself or Simon afterwards in regards to that. And so here, again, we currently have direct integration with over 25 different carriers. So here's just a list of a few. that we directly integrate with. And so just to quickly give a general overview of our EDI integration, StarShip can generate your SSCC codes. We can print out your GS1 to 128 labels if needed, and we can also generate the ASN number as well. And so below, I added just a few of the EDI solutions that we work in conjunction with. So similar, if you have any EDI questions, feel free to reach out to myself and we can discuss and I can answer those questions that you may have for me. Alrighty, so let's jump straight into the demo here. So today I am going to walk you through a demo with Macola ES here in Shopify. So for the Macola progression or Macola 10 users, the process that you're going to see today with Macola ES is almost identical to the workflow and the process that will be done with your version. So keep that in mind. So as I mentioned, StarShip has the ability to process your small parcel with UPS, FedEx, Post Office, and your LTL orders as well with the many carriers that we support. One of the key features with StarShip is the ability to involve your e-commerce platforms. So again, in this example, I'm going to process a small parcel order with Shopify serving as an extension. So first, I'm going to open up Shopify here to show you the order that was brought in. So here's order number 1171. As you can see, it's been paid for and it's unfulfilled. So now we're ready to ship this out. I have 2 chipmunk teas here as the line item that's going to serve. And so from here, you can bring in this order directly into StarShip and you can process and ship, and we'll go ahead and return the tracking information. Or you can bring the order into Macola with a third-party solution that allows you to download the e-commerce orders into Macola, and we can pull the order from Macola and update both sources. So here in the example, I have order number 104, which is the same order from that Shopify extension, but was placed into Macola. So if you notice down below, I had the 2 line items, which is those 2 chipmunk teas, and in the ship via field, in the order header, I have it mapped to UPS here. So now for e-commerce orders, StarShip, we must have 3 key factors that are going to be needed. So of course, we need the e-commerce order number, which I have in a user-defined field inside of this order. We need the line items to ship, which is down below, and of course, we need the e-commerce platform name. So if you have multiple e-commerce sources, we would need a flag or a key that is going to note StarShip of the e-commerce source. So inside of StarShip now, I only have Shopify set up, so the fixed value is going to point to Shopify. All right, so as I bring up StarShip here, so here is the StarShip application, the multi-mode single application. So to bring over that Macola order, I can do so in a few ways here. So if that order is scannable, I can scan the barcode of the order, and that will populate here in this input field. Secondly, I can click on this magnifying glass, and this will pull up all my open orders in Macola. And in this look here, I can select multiple line order or multiple orders, and I can batch process. Or lastly, I can simply enter in the document number of that order as well. So StarShip is going to go over to Macola and pull over that header information. So in this top left quadrant that I'm highlighting with my mouse here, StarShip has pulled over again the header information. So if I go down to the transportation field, we have mapped to UPS, which was that ship via field. I have the billing information. Down below, you'll see the sender information. So inside StarShip, we can show a different company here if you're doing drop shipments. And also for third party, we can also map appropriately to depict who will be paying or third party billing. Then down below, we have the recipient, which is coming directly from the ship to field in Macola. So right now, you're seeing this orange question mark, which is our address validation that is happening behind the scenes. So right now, it's giving me a not validated icon. If I were to click on this, it would validate the address for me. Or if I were to go ahead and process and ship, it would validate the address as well. So jumping down to the packaging view here, I'm going to expand all. So in this example, I have pulled over the chipmunk teas from the Macola order. So currently both of the line items were placed into one custom box here. However, inside of StarShip, you can auto package certain line items instead of one-to-one line item to a box, certain ratios and scenarios. If you're using a WMS system, such as Exact WMS, StarShip will auto-populate those packaging scenarios from those systems and pull it into this packaging view that you're seeing now. Before this example, I have brought over both of those chipmunk teas here and placed it into one custom box. So if I click on the line item here, if you notice up top, the line item tab is going to open up. So inside of StarShip, we try to pull as much information as possible from Macola in regards to the line item. However, if you currently don't populate your line item information inside of Macola, or if you have, say, a separate table that holds specific information, you can take advantage of our SQL extension, which will allow you to write certain queries to pull information and also write back specific information into Macola as well. So keep that in mind. But of course, we pull over the item number, the description, the unit value, and the fields that you're seeing below. StarShip has its own database that allows you to enter and store information. So the unit weight, which can be pulled from Macola, but if not, it can be stored inside of the StarShip database. The MFC code and the class for LTL shipment, and also for international, if you wanted to store the Schedule B information, this all can be stored inside of StarShip. So that way you wouldn't have to keep entering that information every time this line item comes over. All right, so jumping over to the rate shop, I'm going to click Shop All. So by clicking Shop All, StarShip will go out and populate your negotiated rates that you have with carriers that you have purchased inside of StarShip. So as you can see, StarShip has requested the rates directly from the carriers and populated that information here. So one of the key features in this rate shop is you have the ability to view both your small parcel and LTL rates all in one screen. So here in this view, you can sort the carriers together in group. You can sort by delivery date. And you can also sort by charges here. So even for this example, you can see that the post office priority mail actually has a faster delivery date and is returning a lower charge here. So one nice thing inside of this rate shop feature is if you decide to switch carriers in this look, it's as simple as clicking on the carrier of choice. If you notice to the left here, the transportation field is going to update with that carrier, and we're going to print out the labels associated. So you wouldn't need to re-import this order in if you decide that there's a different carrier that you decide to go with here. All right. So even for this example, I'll leave it to priority mail. And so now you're ready to process and ship. And to do so, I can click F5, or I can go up to process and ship. And so now StarShip is going to update the sources, and sources meaning Shopify and also Macola in real time. And then we're also going to print out your labels associated. So let me actually enlarge this for you. So what you're seeing now is just one example of what you can do in terms of printing with StarShip. So what you're seeing is what we call a StarShip Smart Label. So to the left here, we have our standard shipping label, which can be die cut, the sticky label that can be peeled off. And here's your post office label. And to the right here, we have a StarShip packing list, the header information being pulled from Macola up top. We have the service of choice, and also down below we have the line items in the information. Now again, this is what we call a smart label. If you wanted to just print out the standard shipping label or even have the packaging list printed out behind that, you can do so. But you can also take advantage of the smart label that you're seeing now. All right, so now you're all set, ready to process and ship your next order. To show the right back here, I'll actually jump back into Shopify, and I'm going to refresh this look here to show you. So here was that order, 1171. Now you're seeing the paid icon, and also we have flagged this to fulfilled. You're seeing the post office tracking number that was updated. And also to the right, we have entered in information from StarShip in regards to that shipment in the note section here. So we've added the ship on to date, the carrier service of choice. We have additional information. If you have multiple package, you can see package one. Tracking information, if you had multiple, it would show. But here's the updates for Shopify. And to show the Macola view as well. So in the header comments, excuse me there. So in the header comments, the header information will be written back similar to that look to Shopify that would be written back. And also in the billing, we would write back the freight charges as well for that specific order. So inside of StarShip, we have what we call freight rules that allow you to set up certain scenarios in terms of the freight write back. So for example, if you wanted to add a specific shipping and handling fee on top of the charge that was written back, you can do so. Or if you wanted to remove the charges from being written back in the shipment, you can also do so as well. So as I mentioned, if you wanted to see the tracking information or the shipping cost to be placed back in a specific table outside of Macola or a specific field that you have, you can again take advantage of our SQL extension that will allow you again to write queries and pull information from StarShip and place it anywhere that you would like to see. I'm sorry about the write back that occurred into Macola. I'm not too sure what happened there. So that concludes the shipping portion with StarShip there. But as I mentioned earlier, we do have two additional features that come with the StarShip license. One is called e-Notify, and the other is Dashboard. So first, e-Notify. E-Notify is a custom email generator tool that allows you to replace the carrier's supplied email. So this gives you full advantage to brand and include important Macola fields that you would like to see or you would like your customers to see in terms of an email. So here I have just one example for you. Up top, I included the company logo up top. I have the ship to date. I have the order and actually the service that was selected. So this is the previous order. I have the tracking number that was also included, and this is a direct link to the carrier site. And even down below, I broke out the line items and the information attached. And I also included a coupon here to attract more business and traffic to the website. So this is eNotify. Again, we give you this custom templates to allow you to adjust what specifically you like your customers to see. This can vary between a small parcel or a freight, depending on what you prefer in your workflow. And so secondly is our dashboard feature here. So dashboard is a data analyzing tool. This grants your entire front office access to shipping information, different shipping reports, history, and stats. So here in this look, say if a customer is calling in asking about their specific order, you can pull up that information and go down to the detail of what that shipment actually contained. So in the shipping information, I can see the status of the shipment. I can see the days in transit. I can even see the carrier of choice that was selected. And down below, I even can go down to how it was packaged, what was actually in the package, and even down to the charges. I can see what the carrier um, charged us for the shipment, and I can also see what we charged the customer as well. So I won't dive too in deep into this dashboard feature, but here's a general overview. You can run different reports in here that we give you out of the box here. There's different performance indicators like the two charts that you're seeing down below. And also, again, different shipping history and statuses. So keep in mind that both eNotify and Dashboard are browser-based. So again, anyone that needs access to these two features will have access to it, and it won't require any users or seats. All right. All right, so that concludes all that I have. I am going to switch it back over to Simon here for any questions.
All right, well, thank you, Moses. And as Moses mentioned, I know he kind of covered a lot of information here. So you do have his contact information up on the screen. A copy of this recording will go out to all people who registered for the webinar as well as those who attended. So if there